So I'm here with Mary Vandenack. She is the founding partner of Vandenack Weaver. Mary, also a yoga instructor and teaches classes on mindfulness. So Mary, thank you for joining me on this Zoom call.
Thanks for asking me. Trying out the Zoom thing, getting more and more practice seems like a good thing right now.
I know, I love it. And I love I love the painting behind you talking about creating a peaceful space to be in. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's intentional. So Gary and I traveled to France last year, and we went to a virtual reality exhibit. And I'll be really honest that I went because I love him and it was for him, and I was not expecting to be completely blown away by the experience. And I've always liked some of Van Gogh's stuff, but we saw these Van Gogh paintings in this virtual environment where they had beautiful music and all of his different paintings on the wall. You could walk around. We actually stayed for two of the shows rather than one. So I came home and I'd actually been working on making my home your surroundings are important. And it's
Mm-hmm.
actually, Gary and a couple others in my life, I've always been like, well, I'm too busy for that. And right now, as much time as I'm spending at home, I'm really grateful. I've taken some steps in that direction. But that piece was, $40 on Amazon.com. And it's like one of the nicest things I have in terms of just creating. When I walk in through my house, come in through my kitchen, I see that and it gives me a sense of like calm.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, what's going on in the world and how can we create more peace, serenity. How can we be more mindful right now? Because we're all spending a lot of time at home. So take it away. What can we do?
And so and to say I'm really grateful for having a lot of years of practice right now, because I'm finding myself having to use it every minute of every day. And if I actually have to leave my house, it's very anxiety inducing, even though you get to the point where, I can't stand being in my home anymore. But the most important thing in my mind is this basic principle that we talk about in mindfulness, which is to be aware of the breath. So every one of us is thinking, are we going to get through this? Are we
Mm-hmm.
going to be alive at the end of this? If you have an allergy cough, you cough, you're like, oh my God, do I have COVID, right? And if you hear somebody else cough, you're like, oh my gosh, did they just, cough COVID on me? It's the sort of reaction to, or if you have little sinus things, and how do you distinguish whether I have COVID or whatever? And then you go down this journey in your mind, like, oh gosh, I'm going to get sick. My family's, I have an 87-year-old mom living down the street, and you just lost yours this year. You know
Yeah.
how hard that is. I'm bringing her food, and I'm just like frantic about the possibility that I could not sanitize it completely. So that's using the breath work, which is just, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, when you catch yourself going down that path, it's just pausing and taking a deep breath and bringing the attention to the breath to bring yourself back to the moment where you are right now, as opposed to the panic that just kind of takes the mind and runs with it.
And is it taking a deep breath, or do you count to 10? I mean, what does taking a deep breath mean? I don't,
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good question, because it's different. Because when I talk about breath, what you see sometimes with people going, and in Kundalini practice, there's some intention to that. But right now, it's just to sit, and if you're, or stand. I'm about taking a breath, and more than even taking or how you take the breath, it's getting your attention on the fact that you're taking a breath,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as opposed to, but then, and you might catch yourself, like when I get super anxious, I will start to catch myself breathing really fast, or sometimes somebody else in my life might point that out to me, you're breathing really fast. And then it's be like, oh, okay, just consciously take as much breath. And some people teach a belly breath. I really like to take the breath into the side bodies and just fill the lungs up as much as you can. So
Mm-hmm.
deep breath in, exhale. And as you exhale, letting the shoulders and everything soften as much as you can. So just inhaling through the nose. Sometimes you can exhale through the mouth or the nose. Do what comes natural to you, but just get your attention to the fact that you're breathing first, and then begin to try and just slow the breath down. And again, you can do this whether you're sitting on the couch in front of a Van Gogh or wherever, because another one of the really important things right now, in terms of like here, I've created this setting, is to find some space in your house where you can go to that is like, if you can, if you don't have a room that you can go, like my son's moved out. So I took his room and I've made it into a meditation room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really great. If you don't have the luxury of having a room and you're got a house full of people right now, maybe you find one space where you go stand to take that
Yeah.
breath. That is like, when I go over here, I shift my mind to a more peaceful place. If you have to go to the grocery store, that's a really stressful experience right now. And it's like, there's people who are not respecting the 6-foot rule there. And there's a lot of people who are. But so that's another place is like, just stop, take a breath, and notice that you're taking the breath.
Yeah. And one thing I want to ask you about the breath is the thing is also it's the oxygen you're bringing into your body, or is it more about the breath? Because oxygen, I know if we're just breathing shallow, we're not getting oxygen into our body. Does that have anything to do with breath work?
So it does, but in terms of just becoming aware. So if you think about it, if you take a really long, slow breath, it's more about, and you are bringing oxygen in, right? And
Sure.
that matters. And so if you study like the yoga theory of that, you're inhaling that which is good and you're exhaling that which doesn't serve you. So it's one way to look at it.
Right.
Or you can look at it just from the perspective that your mind and your body are connected.
Right.
I like to think about the breath, and not even from the technical perspective, but as I take that exhale, can I soften the muscles? Can I bring my attention right to, here and now? But as I inhale, I try and get as much air in as I can, but it's more, I think of it more, it is filling it with oxygen that you very much need. But I'm also just thinking about, I'm focusing on kind of getting as much in from the perspective. Then when I exhale, that's when I let the muscles soften and go.
Yeah.
I get aware of that and just bring myself to a better place.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue to have conversations about this, and maybe I'll talk to you once a week or once every other week for the next few weeks, because we're kind of in this, lockdown or social distancing, at least till the end of April, and who knows what's going to happen beyond that. But just what I hear you saying is just really breathe, because that gets you into a present moment and releases stress or anxiety.
That's the most fundamental. And the other things I would just add is, if you can get outside at all, even if it's just on your deck or porch, get outside, any form of movement. There's all kinds of online yoga studios offering online yogas. You do some visualization of a healthy space. Those kind of things all matter right now. Yeah.
All right, Mary, thank you so much for chatting with me. And, we're going to get through this,
We are.
We will. So, all right. Thank you again. And yep, I'll connect with you soon. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.